That's it. Recording in progress.
We're
I
live.
hope. So I'm doing an interview today with Jason Garagan. Is it the right? I say it right?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, because I'm French Canadian. I'm not English Canadian. So he's an English Canadian guy who's doing house sitting like me, and I see. Well, let's do it. Let's do an interview to talk about what it is to help other house sitter because. I'm a royal luxury house sitter. That's basically my niche and my thing. But it's a lot of people who wants to go in the house sitting field or lifestyle. I call it a lifestyle. It's like a freedom lifestyle. I'm curious about. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are curious about house sitting and your experience and all those things. So tell me about a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I'm from Canada,
Yeah.
the East Coast, and then moved to the West. Um, I've been hosting about a year and a half now, following a career in social work. So I decided to quit that and go travel a while. And while I was traveling in all these other countries, I realized how much more affordable it is to live in some of these other countries, and just how expensive Canada is. So for me, I found a website and started just created a profile, kind of like online dating for house sitting, and then just opened my eyes to this alternative lifestyle that
Yeah.
is available.
So
Yeah.
what happened in the first thing happened to you that's really say, wow, I was sitting, this is existing. Because for myself, I knew it was existing, but I met a girl who told me about it. Because beside that, I would never know what it is. So is it something that happened in your life that just say, well, or somebody tell you about it?
I think I just came across a website online and started looking, and there was house sits all over the place. Canada is actually on a lot of the websites a little harder to find house sits.
Yeah.
Uh, it's really popular in other countries. Um, and then I was coming home from a trip, and I just had this burning feeling that I didn't want to pay for rent.
That's a
So
good
I was like,
reason. Because on the West Coast, I think it's a lot more expensive than the East Coast. I
everywhere
know.
in Canada is
And
so
Montreal
expensive.
is getting there, but I know if you go to Vancouver, it's very expensive.
Yeah, I'm in Calgary,
Yeah.
and it's still very expensive. So my girlfriend and I started applying for house sits, and we started doing video interviews. And before you knew it, we were booked for like a year straight.
Wow.
And then COVID hit, so
Yeah.
they left. Um, but that was the first time I really saw that it is possible to
To do
just,
that.
for me, it was lowering my expenses a lot and still
Yeah.
got to hang out with animals, which I like.
Exactly.
Um, and
So
then provided a lot more space in my life to go after a little more peace. So
yeah.
the freedom, like you said, the freedom lifestyle, when you're not paying for rent, I mean, you don't, and you
And
work, and I work
car.
online, so I didn't need a car,
No.
wasn't paying rent.
Electricity bill,
Yeah,
like people who have all those bill to pay, and that's and a lot of thing in your house. That's the thing. You
that's
when you begin house sitting, that's what happened to us. We downsized so much. We sold all our furniture, our house. We kept couple suitcase and we say let's do that at 60 years old, and we had a lot of stuff, and a lot of people of your age or my age, because I think we have some gap of different, they do have a lot of stuff. And you know what happened when I first started that, I don't know if it happened to you. So people say, well, are you gonna die? You're selling all your stuff, you're going to babysit some house. What's going on with my daughter? She was worried because no, I said no. That's I want to do that. I want to do that when I'm healthy. That's the thing. Yet also. So where was the first place you babysit, you house sit? You remember?
sticking to hosting in Canada. Although I'm always looking elsewhere. I have about three weeks at a time, and then I have to be back in Calgary or in Canada for a week.
So
So
do you still have an apartment, or you don't have?
no,
No?
I haven't had one since I got back from traveling. I rent sometimes. I will rent a place if there's a
Yeah.
good deal. So like I had a friend who moved away and needed a subletter for a couple months, so
Mm.
he offered me an outrageous price for a really nice condo downtown.
Mm.
And then I host it for my sister a lot. I'm kind of her full-time host sitter now, so I book off time in the calendar for her. I also have a lot of regulars that I host it for now.
Yeah.
Um,
You have your own business now. It's like
well, it's temporary. Like
yeah.
this current host that I'm at now is making me realize this isn't a sustainable plan for myself as a solo person. Sometimes it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
To
a lot of work. And that's something I want to talk about, because a lot of people think house sitting is vacation. And they say, well, we're going to go, we have 2 weeks off, we're going to go house sit. And you can tell us about your experience right now. House sitting is not vacation, it's responsibility. And what happens if you have a house sit, because you never know if when you come it's to the place, if it's something more difficult, more responsibility, like you have an experience right now. So that's would be a good thing to talk about to other house sitter who think that's house sitting is vacation. And a lot of people think you get paid for that also, but we can talk with another question. So what's your experience right now, because you didn't expect to have so much responsibility?
just reminded me of just a lot of questions to ask before you even take a house sit, and the different needs of the animals that you're caring for are really important to look at before you do it. The current ones is a puppy and another dog, and neither of them are trained. So there's a lot of they don't go to the bathroom outside. They're not potty trained at all. Every day it's expected I'll have to clean up like 5 or 6 piles of poop and pee on the floor. Yeah, so it's just constant maintenance. I can't leave for very long because they can't, like, I feel bad leaving them locked in a room for a long time. They eat, they chew everything. So they're just really trained. They're just not trained at all. And in retrospect, there were a lot of red flags. Yeah.
What kind of red flag did you feel before you get this house sit?
Well, they accepted me, or they offered me the house sit without meeting me first.
Yeah.
Then when I did meet them, they mentioned that previous host sitters have complained about the peeing and pooping of which again, it's not like they were dishonest about things. They did tell me that the dogs did this. I think it just helped me realize what my capacity is as a pet sitter. Yeah. So, and also I'm single. I'm house sitting by myself now. And my experience with little dogs is not very high. So you have to know what you're getting into. And also it's made me realize that some house sits deserve payment, actually. Some house sits are really easy, where you're just looking after a cat or no animals at all.
Yeah.
And it's so easy. You just live there and for free. Some, though, it is actually a lot of work. And if you don't need to house sit, like if you're not taking a house sit because you're desperate for a place to stay or something, I'd rather rent a place than be stressed out for a long period of time trying to keep their animals alive.
Exactly. No, it's you never know, but I think they should put on very clearly that the dogs are not trained. And the trainer, when you go to those places, you can train the dog, and yeah, of course you don't have to, because it's a lot of, yeah, they're going to need to pay you to train
Mhm.
the dog. And that's particular when you have something like that, when you have an older dog and a smaller dog. I think the main thing is to have a meeting with those people. It's very important to meet the people before you go to the place, and you have like a
Well, even
question.
before that, you meet the people before you accept the house sit.
Yeah, of course.
Because I still met them, but at that point I had already said I would do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And yeah.
The case maybe not this time, but I have a Skype meeting, a Zoom meeting, and we meet and we see if we have some, we ask question, and we try to get the most of the before we say yes and before they say yes also. That's basically
Mhm.
that's the thing with house sitting. You're one in sometime 10 or 15 or 20 people, and it's like an interview with it's like a job. You're getting well, and this is the difficult part of being selecting this kind of life like you have, like I have, full time, because we're doing that full time. A lot of people are going back home and they do that once a week, once a month, or once a year, and that's not the same thing. So what changed uh, in your life since you started doing this full-time life?
Um, so I don't look at, like, I don't see myself as a full-time house sitter, or
Okay.
I don't see myself doing it full time, because it's the freedom of the life that I like. I would pay for a place to stay, uh, too, if it was nice and relaxing. Um, so I mean, everything's changed since I found out about this, because it's an option to. I think I saved about maybe $9,000 or $10,000 last year, house sitting. So that's allowed me to work less and take care of myself more,
Of course.
um, with my mental health, and just, um, honestly, my whole perspective on life has changed since I started doing this. We're taught in school to get a job, get a house, get a car, get a
That's,
wife, have kids,
yeah, yeah,
retire at 60,
yeah.
and then, right, and then everyone always, like, so many people say they can't travel because it's so expensive, or you work all year to save enough money to travel. Well, now I look for plane ticket deals versus places to stay, and I have no commitment. So
Exactly.
if I can find a place to stay for free somewhere in Canada, or I can't wait to try house sitting
Yeah,
international.
yeah, I
But
do that.
I will pay for a plane ticket now, which is basically my rent, and then
Exactly.
stay somewhere for free. So
Yeah, yeah,
traveling is not expensive. Traveling is actually cheaper than
yeah.
living in my own country.
Exactly.
So that's a completely different viewpoint of the world that most
Yeah.
people I meet have. I'm actually in search of, if I have this vision, or I have this awareness that host sitting with someone is that's what makes it possible. Because then, honestly, if you have two house sits that don't quite line up the dates,
Yeah.
even to have someone who could go and take and spend a couple days at a new house sit while you finished up
Exactly.
at another one.
Yeah.
So there are some real challenges with which I would be fun to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, as I do it solo. So when I had a partner, it was great because, like, she would go to the new one, I would stay and clean up and, like, finish everything.
Mm.
Also, like, the workload. So when the dogs have a lot of needs, like, having someone to help out with that.
Yeah.
But I have this vision of a way that house sitters can help each other fill
Community.
these gaps. Yeah.
Yeah, a community. That's my vision also, because you know, and a lot of people of my age, when they ask me, "What are you doing with all your stuff? Where you don't have?" Because a lot of people are not comfortable being in somebody's stuff also,
Hmm.
or are they not comfortable to don't have their own bed or their own stuff. So you need, I think, do you think you need a special personality to do house sitting, or?
You know what? I worked in mental health and addiction for many years, so I have even probably a slightly different view on this. But we're hoarders by nature. So it's like,
Mm.
if you have a place, you start collecting stuff. When I started like getting more into minimalism and things, I just realized how much junk I had.
Yeah,
Nothing I owned brought me any sort of like emotional value. So I mean, I also believe that like hoarding or collecting things. Um, I don't know anyone who's ever went through a period of getting rid of stuff. The first time when you start to get rid of something, it's kind of challenging and you feel this attachment to it. But the more
yeah,
you get rid of stuff,
yeah,
the lighter, for me
yeah,
personally, I just
yeah,
started
me
feeling
too.
lighter. And now because I move so often, I get to purge every time I leave somewhere.
Yeah,
So also I save a ton of money because I don't ever want to buy stuff, because if I'm traveling,
exactly.
I don't want to carry it around with me.
That's it. Exactly. I go to a big nice store. I put some stuff in my basket, and just like I'm shopping, at the end, I leave the basket there, and I don't buy it. So
Hmm.
I say, "Oh my God!" And each time, do I really need that? No. And
Like I was gonna get a dog until this house sit right now, and after this, I probably won't get a dog for many
exactly.
years, because they they're so cute and lovely. But like I can't leave these two dogs alone for
No,
more than 2 hours.
exactly. We take care of the dog for a little while. We love them. We give them whatever they need, and we go after. So that's beautiful thing. And what would you like in your future in the trusted house world? Do you think you're going to do that for a long time, or what do you see in 5 years from now?
You know what? For about 2 or 3 years now, while I got out of social work, I just had this motto of just buying time. I always kept saying that, buying time, buying time. Well, because of the freedom of lowering your expenses and living with rent free, and because there's even so many more opportunities to do this. This
Yeah,
is just one avenue for an alternative lifestyle that doesn't consist of working in an office till you're
exactly.
65.
Yeah,
Um, so I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, I love your idea of luxury house sitters with my parents. Seriously, I talked to them. I've told them about it, and they mention needing someone like that all the time. Someone
exactly.
who can just come and take care of their home for insurance purposes, even,
Exactly.
because they have to. So if that existed, yeah, I would. And so even like getting involved in something like that
Yeah,
where there's no pets, I value my inner peace more than anything, and I am choosing to go somewhere to rent for a few weeks after this house sit, because this one was quite stressful for me.
mhm.
So I'm going to go take a break and regroup and then come back, and my what I'm looking for has adjusted a little bit. Like I want a house sit with a cat. It's like top of my list,
Yeah,
and then one dog,
yeah.
preferably not under 5 years old, maybe.
Mhm.
Like that's a pretty specific criteria, and it exists. I
Yeah,
mean, there's house sits. You're proving that there's house sits out there where there's not even any pets.
yeah. We
Um,
did we did a lot. We did mansion and castle and
yeah.
farm. And that's why I got the idea of doing world luxury house sitter, because a lot of people need people like you,
Yeah.
like me, to take care of the place, who have good who are responsible.
Hmm.
And that
So I mean, a big goal of mine is travel. I just started traveling before COVID, so
yeah,
I'll host it for a while in between. Like that's why I don't call myself a full-time host sitter, because you never know. Like I just don't know what next week will bring, or next month. Like this, for the next month and a half, I'm going to go to visit my parents for a
yeah,
while,
yeah.
and then I'm always looking for house sits wherever they pop up. Canada again, I can't really leave Canada until things are a little more normal.
Yeah.
Um, but
This,
yeah, just look at, so like the other thing, like, because because of house sitting and realizing that rent can be almost eliminated from your budget, it's also led to me exploring other countries. And again, the rent in Canada is so expensive a lot of times that for the same price as rent in Canada, I can pay for a plane ticket and rent in another country. So
Yeah.
my whole, it's fun to travel, and yes, people go on vacations and spend all their money that they save. I want to explore. I'm also very into personal development, so traveling helps bring that out. So just to answer that, I'll host it as long as I want to. I'll probably do it for the rest of my life, just not to the same scale that I'm doing now. Like when I'm older, if I have a family and things, like I would probably look to host it even on vacation.
I see when you're there.
That's right.
What you have friends around you, I guess, and are they doing house sitting? Are they really curious about your life, or they just say, "Are you crazy?"
A little bit of everything, actually. I have friends who I've convinced to host it. I have other friends who want to get into it. Then I have other people who just see what I'm doing, because I post some stories on Instagram about my house sitting, and quite honestly, when it's pretty remarkable how much money I saved last year. No matter who you are, like that's pure, like that's evidence that we're onto something with the
of
house sitting.
course, yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you're two people. And you have like me and my boyfriend, we met and we started doing that, but we both have really big house in Montreal. And the amount of money it was costing me just to
That's
live.
crazy. So I mean, so the issue I have, and there's something else I want to come back to too, but the issue I have with that is, if your expenses are that high, it means you have to earn at like this much more than that, which keeps you stuck in jobs you don't like. And you're trapped. I wanted to come back though, because you said earlier about mindset, and is this personality for everyone? And I started to mention how it's a progression of things. So even with the hoarding, I know I went on that tangent about hoarding, but it's that 3 or 4 years ago, I would not have been right to do this. But it started with getting rid of all my stuff to move to China for a year, and then coming back and living in these other countries where it was cheaper. So it was a progression. So even if someone's thinking about wanting to get into house sitting, I mean, you can't do it if you're on a contract for a lease, or you can't do it if you have like significant anxiety issues or some unresolved stuff. Because living this unknown, like I don't know where I'm going to stay next month.
And we have COVID on top of that.
That's right.
We live this life. You live COVID like I live COVID. And, you know, you really have to be well balanced inside to have all those elements. Like, don't know where you're going. It's like a lot of people would like just blow their mind off because they're just so insecure. But if you take it on the other side, you say, well, I'm so lucky to have that and be secure and all that. And you always have something. Like when you work on contract, it's the same thing. You never know if you have another contract or But house sitting is basically the same thing. So yeah, you have to be, I don't think is made for people who are insecure, people who need to have a place and have their own bed to sleep in, and they can.
Because a lot of times the person would have to give their notice of leaving their rent, leaving their apartment or wherever, and then without even having somewhere else to go. So that's how. Yeah, so that's literally how it would be, which is not how most people operate. Like that's a really big risk to.
I know, but doing it full time like we do, it's not. I don't think it's a lot of percentage in the house sitter. That would be good to see how many of all house sitter are doing that full time, and
I wonder. That is a good.
That would be a good thing.
Question.
And because a lot of people are doing that once in a while. They keep their house, they go back to their house.
I'm gonna ask that. I'm gonna ask that right now in that group. I'll wait till after.
Yeah,
But
that's a
that is a really good
good
question.
question. So what would you, how would you, let's say, because I always have that problem when I'm going to a new place, meeting new friend, and they don't know me. They didn't see my Facebook before. They don't know I used to be a famous makeup artist, and they ask me, what are you doing now in life? And I say, well, and it's not been very long since I say I'm a house sitter, professional house sitter. That's basically what I say now.
That's
Now
what
I
you
say
say to
I'm a
people?
luxury house sitter, and they all say, what is this? So it must happen to you also. So what do you say? How do you explain that in really easy way so they can understand?
That's a
You
good question. I don't really
didn't have that around
you
you?
know what? I honestly don't see myself as a house sitter. Like I literally don't introduce myself that way.
Okay.
It's more it's my own discovery. So like if I am friends with someone and we're talking, and sometimes I like to tell people just because it blows their mind that this is possible.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and I like blowing people's minds about what is possible, because we are hardwired in society to just work. And yes, house sitting still work, but um, yeah. So if someone asks me, I will say I have been house sitting. I don't know. I honestly, I will tell them what I'm doing, but I don't like, it's not in my intro of myself. I don't say
Yeah,
I'm Jason.
what I find is really changing people when we talk about what we're doing and say, well, this is possible. And they just like see something else in their brain, like something can be done where I don't have to pay my bill. I can travel. I can meet people.
I do find myself like, because it's so awesome that I get into this trap of like wanting to convince them to host it. And it's like, even people think it's a great idea. But like you said, for someone's mindset to get to a place where they're ready to actually do it, it's a long, or it's a journey, it's a
Of course.
process.
I like
Yeah.
that. I like that journey. You're living a journey of house sitter. I really like that. Can I use it? Can I use it in my phrase? I love it. It's really, for me, it's a new lifestyle. I was doing some not pamphlet, but banner today, and I really put as a transformation. It's for me, this is part of it. This is a
Well, and
conscious
even
way to live.
because you do have to have some income coming in. I mean, you don't have to, you can't do it with zero income for very long.
No. What would be your ultimate dream of house sitting? Let's say we can give you whatever you want. So
I study spirituality a lot, and like I'm a yoga teacher and everything. So my dream is to continue to live as minimalist as possible. Can get some retreats going in different places, and then honestly, house sitting. I'm very much surrendered to the universal flow of life right now. So even the hosts that come up, I apply for them. If I get them, great. If I don't, I don't. And then something else presents itself. So far, the dates too, like have lined up so well for me in house sitting. I've been very, very lucky and feel very grateful. So my wish is to continue, yeah, just keep doing what I'm doing. Actually, I'm building retreats as we speak. The host sits keep coming when COVID's done, and we can go out of Canada. Sky's the limit, like where to go. I'm really close to Seattle, and there's a ton of host sits in Seattle that I see. Also then totally down the west coast of the state.
California, Mexico, and all those things.
Yeah. So I'm building up some reviews, getting more solo reviews. I don't know if I'll get one from this one. My dream, honestly, is to keep living as inexpensively as I can for the next year or so. Okay. So yeah, it's already going by quite well. I've managed 3 months already this year, even with COVID. of host sitting. So that's, again, if I look at it, Canada, it's hard to find a place for under $1,000 Canadian per month. So like that's already $3,000 that I have saved this year since January, and it's been during the pandemic. So for me, like that's a retreat that's already up where every month I have to. So I'm limited on the time I can do it, and I just want to start traveling. So yeah, so to answer your question, the next year or so, I'm just gonna keep going where the house sits are, and
go with the flow.
Also connecting with people like other people. Like what you're doing is really cool. There's also other ways to live inexpensively as well, and cut on rent. You're going to someone else's house, they want you to take care of it, and blah 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 blah, all this stuff. So that's great, and that's a great option if you want to save some money and get to have kind of a pet experience without owning your own. Another one though is finding a group of people, or even just committing to renting a place in another country, like Mexico or Guatemala, or some of these places where for a really reasonable price you could rent a really nice place, and then rent it out to other digital nomads who are also exploring alternative lifestyles. So again, it's like I would go to Mexico and pay $400 or $500 for a really nice luxury place to stay, rather than pay an outrageous price in Canada.
That's what we're gonna do. That's my goal, to go to Mexico and rent a villa with very cheap, and having people around, also having a group of people. Because I think, because you're from a background of helping people with mental illness, and I think we're gonna need a lot of people are gonna need a lot of help about downsizing, taking off their, because when you do that, you need help to cope with whatever your reaction you have, because whatever object you keep is emotion that's with that, because your mother gave it to you, your father gave it to you, you work so much for that, and we're gonna need some place, some yoga place, or meditation place, or retreat to think about. Take a week and think about how much stuff you have, what you want to do, not just work or meditation for something, but for this, to downsize.
Mental peace, inner peace is always the goal for me. Like I like just, yeah, and I don't mean to disagree with that. I just mean that like a purpose of work that I do is never to convince people that they need to own less, or that they need a different lifestyle. There's lots of people that are very happy with their current lifestyle, and the fact that this is, for me, this is what will allow me to help other people. Maybe I'm not meant to stay in these jobs that pay so bad and keep you trapped in apartments that you don't like, and cars that gobble up your money, and
so you cannot go back to that. When you know this lifestyle, you cannot go back to that. So let's say we want to reach you, and we want to because we're going to put this interview, and I'm going to put the way to reach you, because that's basically what it is, those interviews, to help other house sitter to get contact, or to get new house sit. So what is the best way to reach you? Is it by Facebook, or we're going to put it down the video?
Facebook or Instagram, maybe.
Okay, Instagram or WhatsApp, or if you're allowed to put your reference under the video, people can reach you and ask you for house sit in their house with a cat only.
That's right. Well, cat or a dog. I still like the dog.
One at a time.
I tell you, there's a theme though. Like I've done a lot of house sits now, probably 20 or 30. I'm probably in the 30s now of house sits. But I have to say, there's a theme that's emerging with people that have small dogs, and 2 small dogs, and if they're wanting a house sitter, I can guarantee that that will be a challenging house sit most of the times. Yeah.
I know. I have that. I have right now the same thing, but I have two dogs, but I'm two. I'm with my boyfriend. Anyway, I let you go. It was a great interview. It was amazing. And thank you to share your experience to others. And I'm going to put your reference under the video, and people can, if they want to reach you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So have a wonderful day in Edmonton.
Yeah, you too.